Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Casual Leader podcast, your weekly dose of real talk for people building real businesses and trying not to lose their sanity along the way. I'm your host, and today we are having an episode that's open your laptop and follow along type of practical episode. Because I've seen this pattern that keeps popping up with our clients, my team, and myself too, really. A few months ago, I made one call that changed the direction of this podcast. And if you ask me today to explain exactly why I made it, the real reasoning, not the high level version, I'd struggle a bit. I remember the decision and I remember that we had to take it, but I lost half of why we got there. And that's what I noticed happens with most people. You don't forget what you decided, but you kind of forget why you decided in the first place. The choice stays, but the reasoning evaporates. And a few months later, you are standing in front of your own past decision like a stranger made it for you. So today, I'm showing you what I did about it and how I built it. Because, yes, we built something. I started keeping a decision log, and it's not your traditional decision log. The more I used it, the more I realized that this isn't just a notes app for past calls, but rather a second brain. One where your reasoning lives, where your calendar kind of nudges you when something needs a second look, and where Claude can hand you back your own thinking whenever you ask. So by the end of this episode, I'm going to build one, a second brain, and you can follow along and set up yours in a few minutes and start using it today. So let's get into it. If you think about it, the real output in a week isn't the emails, the decks, or building something, even the meetings that you had. It's the actual decisions that you're making, dozens of them. What to build, what to drop, who to hire, what to change, which idea to chase, and which one to let go. The decisions are the main work. Everything else around them, it's kind of like admin. Decisions are the most valuable thing you make and the thing that you kind of captured the least. I know I do, or did. We'll write meeting notes that nobody really reads again. You're going to keep the receipts for 3 years, but the actual reasoning behind your biggest calls, gone in a few weeks, if not days. Living in a fading memory and maybe a thread that you're never going to find. We all have that graveyard, a notes app full of half thoughts, a doc called ideas or come back to it that you haven't opened since January or maybe even November last year. Decisions made in DMs in a conversation that maybe you can't really reconstruct or find. The choices got made, but the why behind them was never really saved. And that's fine, right up until the moment it isn't. Until someone asks why you went that way and you can't really say why. Until you face the same call again and again and you have to start from zero. So, yes, write your decisions down. But if that was the whole answer, this would have been a very short episode. There's more. So, job one is to keep the why behind your decisions somewhere where you can actually find it. One place where every single real call and the reasoning behind it lives, evergreen, in your own words, a single source of truth. Not buried in a Slack thread, not in meeting apps that you're never going to open. Job number two is that the log holds the things that you need later. The decision you made on a guess or promise yourself that they're going to check back. The idea that you parked, the call that you want to revisit in a month, the vendor renewal that's coming up fast and you kind of forgot about it. Left in your head, those kind of things just slip away. Wired into the log with a revisit date, and they come back and find you in your calendar on the right day. Job three is the one that matters the most. Once your reasoning lives somewhere structured, Claude or your AI of choice can now read it. Not just summarize it into something generic, but really generate something new. Hand back your own thinking when you're asking. So, what did I decide about pricing and why? It already knows. What have I parked and what I have been waiting for to start working on it? What's critical and pending for next week? Your decisions can now become something that you can interrogate your AI about and even pop up in your Monday or daily brief if you're using that. So, we're not building a memory tool or an old fashioned log. We're actually building a second brain. So, let me show you how. Part one, the build. I build mine in Notion, and I'm going to build it in front of you so you can copy it exactly. Don't overthink the tool. It can be a Google Doc, a note, anything. Okay, first of all, you're going to have to open Claude, go to your cowork. And yes, this requires the Claude Pro subscription at least. That's $20 per month. And once you have Claude Cowork open, you should go to Customize, Connectors. And this is where you want to make sure that one, you're connected to, for example, Notion in my case, but to your app of choice where you actually want to create your decision log. And the second thing, make sure that you have your calendar connected. So it's actually quite simple. If you don't have them connected, I would say just add plus browse connectors. And here you can have, I'm pretty sure you're going to have yours as well because it contains most of the popular apps. So from here, you can actually connect. Mine is already connected. Connect to it. So Claude can actually have access to your tool of choice where you're going to have the decision log and your calendar. Very important. Once you have those set up, you can go back and create a new task. So in this case, I'm on Opus 4.8 because Fable is not currently unavailable, unfortunately. And just ask, please create in Notion a decision log where we can have the following fields. So first, you're going to have the decision, one line. For example, restructure the show from 6 themes to 4 pillars. Plain language, the way you would say it out loud. Second, the date. Boring, but it matters because you need to be able to line decisions up against a time later. Third, the why, the main actor, your reasoning in your own words. Fourth, what I expect to happen. Write down what you think the decision will lead to. Without it, you've got nothing to really check against later, and you're gonna rewrite history in your own favor. Fifth, impact. You have critical, high, medium, and low. One tap lets you scan your biggest bets separately from the smaller ones. Sixth, the revisit date. When should this come back and demand your attention? This is an important one. Seventh, status. Is it opened or revisited already? Has this been checked yet? Or is this still in flight? And this is it. One real decision captured properly. 90 seconds, already more than I had before because the why is now somewhere I can always find it. Part two, ask your second brain a question. Now, what you want to do is the second step, ask for each decision, please make sure you add an event in my calendar with the revisited date. And now we can actually give it a decision, a test decision, just to see how everything looks like. And it's asked me, should I create a new calendar event? And I would say, add some now. We need to decide on which vendor we'll go with for payroll. This needs to be done by end of week. And it wants a very specific date. So I would say, sure, let's say today. This is critical. And here you can say always allow. I will say only allow for this task because we're using it for quite a few examples. And now we should have it here. Yep, select payroll vendor, impact critical. Now, here's where it stops being a list and starts being useful. I can just ask Claude, what have I decided about the show's content direction? And what was my reasoning? Watch what comes back. In 10 seconds, I've got a clear read on the thinking behind my own strategy. Thinking that, left in my head, would have been a vague memory at best. That's the click moment, when your decision stops being a pile of past choices and becomes something that you can actually interrogate and use today. What did I decide about the pricing and why? The log answers in your own words with your reasoning intact. Part three, the part that keeps it alive. Now, the revisit date. I'd rather tell you straight than sell you on a fantasy. Every stream like this normally dies the moment it becomes a place where you have to remember to check. You love it at the beginning and then it joins the graveyard. Same faith as the Notes app or any other document that you haven't opened in the last 6 months. The only fix is to make the log come find you. And this is where you can ask Claude to integrate with your calendar and make sure that every single time it creates a new decision log, it actually pops into your calendar the task at the revisit date for you to take a look back. So on that date, my calendar taps me on my shoulder and says, "You decided this. Here's what you expected. Go and check it." I don't have to remember that the log exists and go back and checks it. It kind of finds me. And it's a second brain that only stores the things that is important to me. It's not really a filing cabinet. You know what I mean? This one pops up in your calendar and really demands your attention. And here's my favorite part of it, parked ideas, because the log isn't only for your decision, it's for anything that needs your attention later down the line. I had a strong episode idea that I wasn't ready to make. So normally that dies in a note. Instead, it went in the log with a revisit date and a question attached to it. Build it now or park it again. On the day, it resurfaces and calls for my attention to make that call. A parked idea with a date is a decision that compounds. A parked idea in your notes app is something that you just forget about it. If you've heard me talk about the AI harness in a previous episode, this is kind of like the cousin idea. The log is a light scaffolding of your thinking. The calendar loop is what keeps the workflow standing, and everything just comes together in one workflow. So, if you're going to make thousands of decisions running whatever you're running, right now, most likely, none of them leave a trace that you can ask, interrogate, and use later. A decision log changes that, one place for every call and every why. Over a year, that's the difference between someone who made 400 decisions and someone who has 400 decisions still working for them. Same calls, but widely different operator at the end of it. If you don't take anything else from this episode, just take this. You don't forget what you decided, but you forget the why. And the why is the part that compounds the most. A decision log has three jobs: to hold your reasoning evergreen, resurface the calls that need attention, and give your AI something real to work with. Capture what you expected to happen in your own words. That's what makes the log useful months later instead of just meaningless. A log you have to remember to check is kind of dead. But if you wire a revisit date in your calendar through Claude, so the system comes back to find you, that's a whole different story. That's what makes a second brain instead of just like a filing cabinet. All right, that's it for today. As always, thank you for spending your time with me. And if this one was useful, maybe send it to someone who makes loads of calls daily, but keeps no record of them, which is, let's be honest, most of us. And I want to hear what goes in your log first. What's the one decision you wish you'd written down before it slipped? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one of them. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out any of the upcoming episodes. We have tons of interesting subjects coming up. And plus, join our community at thecasualleader.com. We do OKR supports, workshop calls, accountability check-ins, and it's the right room for, brainstorming ideas and to get something that you're actually going to be using. And of course, loads of AI updates. Until next time, keep being you authentically, lead clearly, build smarter, and remember, everything starts with you. Start casual, keep going, keep growing. See you next week. Bye.